Welcome to this week's special episode of After Extra Time, part of the Edge of the Crowd podcast network. We took a week off last week and Paul is still on holiday. He extended his vacay a few days after getting caught in a tropical storm in Florida. Don't worry though, he's fine and he'll be back next week. Enough about who isn't here though. I'm Stuart Kavanagh, host of After Extra Time, the World Football Podcast. And this week I'm absolutely delighted to be joined by Liverpool FC and HerGameToo ambassador, and one very happy lady now that the Welsh have officially qualified for the FIFA World Cup in 2022. Roopa Vyas, tell me, how do you feel after the Dragons secured passage to Qatar for this year's World Cup?
I'm over the moon, honestly. Like, words cannot describe how I felt in that stadium, in that moment. It hasn't sunk. I don't think it'll sink in until I literally see us play.
You think that you'll make it over there, or?
I'm looking. I was literally just before this, my brother was ringing me with routes to Qatar. I want to be there. I think I have to be there. I can't not be there. So we'll see. I don't know what my bank account is going to say.
It does look like it's going to be pretty pricey to get there. A bit of a tense match. How did you cope with the, you know what it's like being a footy fan with the rising tension as the final whistle drew nearer and nearer?
I think tensions were really high at that point. So when the officials put up for 5 minutes of added time, that's when I really got tense, because I was like, this is it. Like, they could score now. They looked like they had a chance of scoring, and they could have done it, and they could have taken it to extra time. And I was honestly bricking it. And then that final whistle as well, it went a bit late. We were looking at our watches thinking, come on, it's full time. But yeah, we did it. When that final whistle went, I was just in shock. The steward in front of me, he travels to all the matches as well. And we just like looked at each other in utter shock. I just couldn't believe it.
So it might be because I live on the other side of the world, but I was very surprised to see that it had been so long since Wales had qualified for a World Cup.
Yeah, an entire lifetime for me, an entire lifetime for my dad, who's quite old. So yeah, it's been a long time. I mean, we've gone through some pretty rough patches as a footballing nation. So yeah, I'm glad to see us back on top.
Oh, that's fantastic. I hope you guys do well. And you've been drawn in a group with the United States, Iran, and England, of course. How far do you think? What ceiling are you going to put on Wales in Qatar this year?
When we look at the Euros, we normally get through the groups, and that's it. I think for this, our group is decent. It's beatable. Mm-hmm. I mean, the last time we were in a group with England, even though we lost to England, we were top of the group. So I know that was the Euros, but we could do it again. So I'm going to say we'll get out the group, and then who knows what will happen from there.
Yeah, it's all about getting out of the group, isn't it? Once you're out of the group,
it's all about beating England.
Well, that leads perfectly into a conversation that Paul and I were having through the week. Paul's my host, who's usually joining me, but as I referenced, he's on holiday in Florida. Must be nice. So we saw a bit of pushback online when Gareth Bale received an award from the Queen of England. So like I said, Paul's American, I'm Australian. We had no idea what this was all about. Can you give us a bit of context there?
So, I mean, she technically does cover Wales as the Queen as well. For me, I'm a very big advocate of an independent Wales. I really want independence for us. We are the only nation in the World Cup, by the way, who hasn't got our own government. I think we could push towards independence just from this. But yeah, so Gareth Bale is a big advocate of, Welsh culture. He claimed to have a bad back and didn't play for Team GB. So his song says, had a bad back, F the Union Jack. And then he's gone and accepted an award from the Queen. So the backlash, I feel, is completely justified. Mm-hmm. As a Welsh person, even there's a few Scousers as well. They don't like the monarchy, they don't like the government, and they wouldn't accept this. But for him to accept it, it kind of felt like a bit of a stab in the back.
Okay.
But at the same time, I can see both sides of it. For him as a person and career-wise and stuff, it is huge.
Yep.
But for me, well, I say for me, I wouldn't get one anyway. But if I received something like that, I'd be like, no thanks. Just Welsh patriotism, I feel like he shouldn't have done it. But each their own. I still support him.
Thanks for clearing that up for us. That you do it beautifully with the segues, by the way, Roopa, because that leads right into my next question. Gareth Bale is a free agent at the moment. There's been some talk about him heading to Cardiff. Do you think that's likely? Do you think that's going to happen? Where do you see Gareth Bale playing his football in the lead up to the World Cup?
So I've seen all the rumours. There was a car parked in Cardiff City Stadium car park with like GB11 BAL, and people thought, oh my god, it's Gareth Bale. I was like, why would he just park his car there? Like he's not just come sign the contract and gone away. Like, yeah, I think he could come back to Cardiff. You know, it's a good time for him to come home to his family. You know, he's local to Cardiff. And it's a good time in his career. He wants to get playing time, so Cardiff's obviously a good place to go. He can get them up to the Premier League again. But he's a great player, and I think he is above the sort of level of Cardiff City. No offense to them. It is likely. I don't know if he'd want to go back to Spurs. So
didn't really work out for him last time he went to Spurs, did it? Although surprisingly, he scored more. Well, I was checking the stats. He scored more goals than I remembered him scoring when he went there online. Yeah. Sorry.
But I just feel like playing for Cardiff City is maybe a bit more of a challenge for him. They'll give him obviously a lot more game time going into the World Cup. So I wouldn't mind seeing him in Cardiff, especially they're talking about bringing Aaron Ramsey as well. Get them both in Cardiff, get them both practicing together.
Yeah.
And then you never know what will happen in Qatar.
Whip up a bit of a frenzy in Wales and, take that frenzy over to Qatar and see what happens. Fantastic.
Yeah.
Anything else you wanted to talk about that's kind of Wales-centric before we move on to the next topic?
Oh, I could go on all day about how we're going to smash everyone in the World Cup, especially England, but I don't want to say too much just yet.
Don't want to jinx it, I understand.
Yeah.
Let's move on to your work with the HerGameToo movement. You're an ambassador for a really important initiative that's kind of taking the football world by storm at the moment. I think it's a brilliant initiative, personally. I've done a little bit of research. I've got a pen and a top in my cart ready to go. What can you tell my listeners about the hashtag HerGameToo movement? Can you educate us a little bit?
Yeah, so we're just a group of ladies who are trying to raise awareness of sexism in football. We've actually expanded now to cricket as well. Okay. So just locally, but it's just over a year old now. There's probably, I'm not sure exactly how many, but there's definitely over 50 ambassadors for different clubs, all different levels. So I'm a Liverpool ambassador. So I'm currently in talks. We're trying to get Liverpool to partner up. But our main aim is just to raise awareness of the issues. So a lot of people aren't aware that sexism is still a major issue. A lot of people aren't aware of what actually classes as sexism in football either. So there's a lot of comments that are probably just passed around that people don't realize are really offensive and really anti-feminine, and it's just unacceptable, to be honest.
Yep, 100%. Some old ideals, some old thoughts that just hang around, and I know I was guilty of it when I was younger as well. You say some things and you don't really think of it too hard, and then you meet someone and they kind of educate you, and then you do a little bit of research yourself and you think, geez, that's a pretty shitty thing. So I think it's fantastic work. There's lots of important women in my life that love football. And like I said, go out there. If you're listening to the podcast, go to hergametoo.co.uk. Have I got that right?
Yeah, that's right. Yep.
Go there and buy one of the shirts. The shirts are top notch. So you're a Liverpool fan. Tell me how that came about. Are you local to the area, or did you fall in love with them from afar like me?
So not as far away as you, but yeah, I am from about 200 miles south from Liverpool. But I fell in love with them just watching them when I was younger. My dad's a fan as well, so that's how that came about. And I watched the likes of Michael Owen and Steven Gerrard growing up, and now here I am watching the likes of Virgil van Dijk and Mo Salah tear up the Premier League.
If you grew up in that era, you did a lot of suffering, so we know about the suffering. So it makes it even sweeter that they're doing so well right now. How did you rate the 21-22 season from the Reds?
It was a roller coaster. There were obviously times where we were all shouting about the quadruple, and I kind of jumped on that bandwagon, and I regret it after. But it was one of those things where we achieved stuff that we didn't expect to achieve. And I think we did really well for us to take the Premier League to the very end, to get to the Champions League final. We played 63 out of 63 games. I don't know another club who's done that. And for us to finally win some trophies like the FA Cup and the League Cup, I think that's brilliant. Klopp didn't care, or people said that he didn't care about these trophies or didn't have any respect for them before. So I think it's really good of him to, actually put some effort in and go and win both.
Yeah, it's fantastic, isn't it? I personally was stoked to see him lift the FA Cup, the League Cup as well. I mean, I'm preaching to the choir here, but if I said to you in January that we would have taken it to the last day and we'd had our shooting boots on, maybe even been top for a little while on that last day.
But one thing I'll say is that final day, Villa just ruined it for me. Like, why did they give us the hope that they were going to do something and then just take it away from us? I mean, City are just, those 3 goals in a couple of minutes is just unbelievable. But it's so typical. So I don't know why Villa had to do that to us. Like, why didn't they just lose like 10-0 and make it easy?
They had to just not only rip our hearts out, but rip our hearts out and just squeeze them a little bit as well. Yeah. Oh, it hurts to talk about still now. I hate to continue the hurt, but I guess we have to talk about the Champions League final. Obviously, it wasn't a good result for either of us. We lost 1-0. Play that game 100 times, we probably win it 99 times. But unfortunately, that's not the way it went. I'm not sure if you were there. Did you attend the game? No, you weren't there?
No.
Okay. So,
I'm glad, though.
Yeah. Me too, actually. Given what's come out and what happened, that's maybe for the best. What can you tell me about people that you've spoken to regarding what happened surrounding the Champions League final in France?
Yeah, so I think before the game even kicked off, after the delay, it was just the feeling changed. Even for me, I stayed home. I didn't even go to Liverpool, but I know friends who were in Liverpool who didn't have a clue what was going on over there because I was home and checking social media. I was seeing friends posting about being stuck outside the ground. So I thought, okay, this is probably just a ticketing issue or something like that. And then once, the news filtered through and the videos came through and journalists started speaking about it, I was just in shock. Like, why is this happening now at such a big event? This is global. Why is this happening? And I was just in disbelief. Like, the game just didn't really matter. I forgot that, I knew we lost, but I just didn't even think about the result. Everything's just about the way our fans were treated over there. And I could have been in that crowd, and it's weird saying that I'm glad I wasn't there, because that morning I was like, oh, I wish I was there. I was really upset about not being there, and now it's just like, I'm glad I was nowhere near that, and I'm glad I didn't have to go through that. I know people who couldn't even go. I know Welsh fans who couldn't even go to the Wales game because they're scarred, they're traumatized from what they experienced over in Paris, and that's just not right. And obviously the UEFA message on the ground, the statement that they put out initially, the lies that the French ministers are saying, it's just all adding to that pain of those people. Like, I can feel it, but I can't relate to what they're feeling. So I can't really comment on that side, but it's quite typical of UEFA to sort of turn around now and apologize after Real Madrid have put out a statement, because until then it's just the Liverpool fans. Why didn't Real Madrid have anything wrong? But now they've turned around, complete U-turn. So I'm hoping we get some answers and some sort of justification, but it still doesn't make up for what happened.
It's a terrible thing that happened. Much like yourself, I was at home watching it. I've seen the videos coming through on Twitter and stuff, and it did seem pretty harrowing. And one thing that really kind of stuck in my craw, or even from all the way over here in Australia, was the fact that there was no Real Madrid statement for so long. And then the UEFA statement took so long, and there was just all this time where there was just like all this conjecture and hearsay, and this happened, that happened, and like you said, the French ministers were telling their porcupines, and it was just terrible.
It's hard to put into words, isn't it?
It is hard to
feel about it.
It's one of those matches that I didn't contemplate for a second that we would lose. So before the game, I was like, I've messed it up. Who knows when this is going to happen again? I'm going to miss this when I start the Champions League. And then all that stuff happened, and then you start seeing the videos and the tear gas and the crush and then just the way that the people were being treated. Like you said, it's weird to say that I'm kind of glad that I wasn't there. Hopefully we do get some answers as the Liverpool supporting community.
As Liverpool fans, I think we're really lucky that we've got some good supporters and some good like fan communities out there, like Spirit of Shankly. But I know there's one supporter, I don't know if you've seen on Twitter, Dan Austin. I know him. He's a Scouser. He speaks French. He's gone over to Paris to go and speak on behalf of everyone, like all the Liverpool fans. And I think as a fan base, we're just really lucky to have that and have people out there who will speak for us, because there's a lot of fan bases who maybe, I don't know, I've never really seen that sort of sense of community. So yeah, I think obviously there's things in place now after what happened back in '89. So there's a lot more support out there. The club are doing really well with it. So hopefully, yeah, we can get some sort of answers.
What was the guy's name that you mentioned?
Dan Austin.
What is he actually doing over there?
So he was there as a fan, but he does like freelance journalism.
Right.
I didn't even know this, but he speaks fluent French.
Oh wow.
So he's been like speaking to people out there, and then he's been doing interviews, and then he literally flew over to Paris. He's been gathering evidence. So he put together like a Twitter thread, and he said, right, send me photos of this, send me photos and videos of like this, X, Y, and Z. And people have sent evidence, and he's going to present the evidence.
Oh wow, that's
so he's speaking for the people out there, which is brilliant.
That's great work, Dan. Let's move on to stuff that might put a bit of a smile on your face, though, Roopa. As an LFC fan and a Wales national team supporter, you must have a soft spot for the likes of Nico Williams and Harry Wilson as well. I'm not sure, was Harry Wilson was he on loan at Fulham, or did he get sold last season?
On loan.
He was on loan. Okay, so he is still a Liverpool player. Okay, so it still pertains to this question. All right. What do you think about the Liverpool-Wales connection that we've kind of got going on there?
Yeah, I think it's great. I think it's a shame that there's such good players like for Wales, but for Liverpool, they struggle. It's more because of the quality of the Liverpool team. For example, Nico has to live up to the likes of Trent, and unless Trent gets injured, which God forbid, then Nico steps in. But I think the style that Wales play and the style that Liverpool play obviously varies. So they've done a lot better with Wales. And I think with Wales, he's got that sort of confidence. And I think playing with the likes of Gareth Bale and Aaron Ramsey has obviously instilled that confidence in them both. So I was lucky I got to speak to both Nico and Harry with FA Wales a week before this. And yeah, they're both just like great young lads. They've done really well at Fulham, and I think moving away from Liverpool has done them a world of good. I don't think I'd see them playing for Liverpool again anytime soon, just because getting all this game time has done them a world of good. They're doing amazing for country as well. So selfishly, I'd like to see them carry on at Fulham, to be honest.
Is that likely? Like, what's the paper talk surrounding that with Harry and Nico?
I haven't heard too much, but I think it is quite likely. I think personally they'd probably both prefer to stay, because I don't think at Liverpool they're going to get as much playing time as they do at Fulham. So yeah, I think they'd just be better off. They're really young, so they need the game time, and obviously Wales have got some big games coming up, so we just need our players getting as much practice in as possible.
And former a Premier League team next year too, so that can only be a good thing.
Exactly.
Okay, well that's good. We'll have to watch what happens with Nico and Harry with bated breath, and see if they can secure some permanent moves to Fulham or what happens there. I'm just going to delve into kind of the paper talk realm here. Okay. Sadio Mane.
See, some of the stuff that I've read that he supposedly said, I don't necessarily believe, unless there's a video of him clearly saying some of the stuff that I've seen, the quotes. I'm like, Sadio doesn't even talk that much. Like, why would he say that?
Yeah.
He's quite shy. So I don't know. I haven't really seen much of the videos. If he wants to move, fair enough. But, no player's bigger than the club. So we're going to have to look for some reinforcements or something, because I think it's stupid not to think that one of Sadio or Salah would have gone anyway. So,
yeah.
It's quite sensible. They've done their time, maybe they want to move on. I know Salah wants to stay, but who knows what's going to happen with that. So if Sadio is genuinely going to move, I just hope he doesn't say anything stupid before he leaves, because I love him. He's been great for us. We wouldn't have got Salah without Sadio. So
big fan of Sadio myself. Fantastic player. He's done a lot as well across the front three. He's played on the right, he's played on the left, he's played through the middle. Been a fantastic servant. And as far as those quotes go that you mentioned, I'm always a bit iffy on translated quotes because I've seen what was the first quote from before the Senegal match? It was something about I'll do what the Senegal fans want or something like that. But the translation was a little bit tricky, and that's maybe not exactly the context he meant it in, or that's definitely something to look out for with the translated comments. Okay, and you kind of hinted at the next one, but Mo, what's going to happen with Mo?
I don't know, to be honest. I think it's not even down to him. It's more down to his agent, who I don't like anymore after his recent antics. So we'll see what happens if we can get him to. I think he will stay, but I don't know if I'm just being hopeful. I think if Sadio leaves and we don't get a good enough reinforcement, then maybe he'll look at getting away. But, Liverpool made Salah, so I don't know if he'd want to give that all up just yet. But I think he's still got a few good years left.
I definitely think he's got a few good years left. He definitely takes care of himself. I recently just seen an Instagram post of him sitting on the side of a boat with his shirt off. He looks fantastic. So I actually wrote an article on the sportsbag.net just recently off the back of some paper talk that was going around. It's a dead time for football news club-wise. So don't judge me for writing stories off the back of paper talk. But by all accounts, Mo has no interest in leaving England. So do you think that puts us in a better spot to retain him? Or do you think perhaps the unthinkable could happen and he would move to another club in the Premier League? Or have I just been taken in by a bunch of bullshit? So yeah.
I think so. I mean, I hope he wouldn't sort of give up what he's built at Liverpool and sort of throw it all away, and go to a different Premier League club. But if he did, I know he's probably sensible enough to like avoid our main rivals. So
yeah. Okay.
We'd be safe on that front, but I just don't think he'd downgrade. And obviously anywhere but Liverpool is a downgrade. So
absolutely. Yeah, 100%. I 100% agree. Okay, let's not talk about the outgoings. Let's talk about some potential incomings. What can you tell me about Calvin Ramsey? Do you know anything about this young Scottish right back?
I'd literally only seen him today in a quick article, and I didn't even read the article. I just saw a picture of him. I thought, okay, we're potentially getting someone new.
Okay.
So you're going to have to tell me about him.
So apparently he's a pretty highly touted right back from Scotland. Anything past that? I don't know anything about him. So
I guess, we could do with reinforcements, especially at the back. So, if Klopp wants a player, I fully trust him. I trust him with my life. So if he sees a player and thinks he's good or he can build something with him, then go for it. But if there's a player that I've seen and then Klopp's like, no, I'm not interested, or if he says anything sort of remotely negative related to that transfer, then I it's not happening. If Klopp doesn't want to play, it's not happening. So
Yep. His record is immaculate at this point. So how could you go against anything that he wants to say? Any player that he wants to buy. Sorry. And finally, Darwin Núñez. Is this likely to happen? Or
again, it's the rumors that I do my best to avoid at this time of year. So I'm not 100% sure until Paul Joyce, posts that magical tweet, then I'm not believing anything at this point.
The prices that are being suggested are incredible. So I don't know if I buy the Núñez hype personally.
Exactly.
Yeah. This has been an After Extra Time special episode. I'd like to thank my guest, Roopa Vyas, for her time. Roopa, it was a pleasure having you on, and you have an open invitation to return whenever you like. Have you got anything that you'd like to let our listeners know about before we take off?
So I think this is my chance to plug HerGameToo. Just make sure you get involved, have a look on the website, see if your club's involved in it, see if you can support it anyway, because, we're all a bunch of volunteers doing this in our spare time, and then hopefully we get some more partnerships underway in the next season. My goal is to get Liverpool partnered by next season. So fingers crossed, and yeah, just support us as best you can.
Absolutely. Get yourself a top, get a pin. The tops look fantastic. Please follow our guest on Twitter at LFC_RV. Also, make sure you throw your support behind #HerGameToo. Find out all about it at www.hergametoo.co.uk. As per usual, follow us at our Twitter account at AfterET_podcast. Or if you only like Paul, or if you only like me, follow me at Stewie is sick of it, or follow Paul at Paul M. Banks. Please follow at Edge of the Crowd on all the best social media channels. You know the ones: TikTok, YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, etc. Also check out edgeofthecrowd.com, Australia's leading sports news and pop culture website. Be sure to get all your latest football news from thesportsbank.net and show the third member of our podcast some love by following at Otis Ginger Tabby on Instagram. If you enjoy the podcast, please click that subscribe button. And if you really dig it, please take the time to give us a 5-star rating. Until next week, she's been Roopa Vyas, I've been Stuart Kavanagh, and this has been After Extra Time.